Yeah, good morning. This is new. I've been doing a morning practice that's different every morning for many years, probably for about, I don't know, 20 corn blue. My son Noah's upstairs sleeping, so I'm speaking quietly. He set this up for me so that if I wanted to record myself to maybe spread this idea of caring for self and others by doing personal disciplines, personal practices, breath practices, body clearing, flexibility and strength exercises, and spark exercises that cultivate the electricity, the energy that's coursing inside. So I don't know how this will go. And if you're seeing this, what's up? I'm here in New York State, about 2 hours north of New York City, in the Hudson Valley, in the middle of nowhere. My son and I and dog Hunka live in this little art cottage here. We're comfortable currently and staying healthy and strong currently in these very strange times where I think many of us globally are being asked to stay at home, and so that requires disciplined home practice, and that's why I'm sharing this for so many of us who need to stay at home and stay mentally, physically, spiritually fit and positive so that we can take care of self, our families around us, and remotely take care of as many people as we can. This is a shout out also to the frontline people who are either in hospitals or first responders or in some required work to be of service to keep people alive and fed and as healthy and strong as possible. So normally when I'm doing this, I'm not talking. And so I think what I'll do, I'm going to just improvise. I basically every morning, it's late this morning, probably about 8 a.m. Normally I'm up 5-ish. If it's cold out, I make a fire. And I sit in front of the fire and I do breathing practices first. And I'm going to be doing a few different kinds of breathing practices to start. And then after that, I either do some Negum, which is a martial art that I learned from a guy in New York City named Master Chu. I've got his book over there, and so that's how I'm learning now. Negum, or some yoga, or some it's a Shaolin martial arts practice, a 5-animal practice. I also integrate some Wing Chun warm-up exercises. So every morning I do something different depending on what I need. But each day it's really to get my breath going and to clear out my body and to keep my heart and all the energy centers open and clear and active, and to build my immune system through vigorous breath and movement. And I've also been studying the brain and the body and how we can influence the health of our minds, how we wake up our minds, how we put our minds to sleep, how we get ourselves out of anxiety and stress reactions. And so every morning when I wake up, I check in with myself and I say, how do I feel? What do I need today? And then I just do a practice for as long as I can. 7 seconds, 7 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. It's never the same. I don't feel that I or anyone else needs to do a perfect practice. This is just about a regular discipline. So I've been doing this for a long time. It's time to share it. Friends and family have been asking me to share it, and I've been thinking it's time to share this stuff, and we'll see if it's valuable for others. So I'm not going to be doing deep teaching about what I'm doing this morning. I'll probably introduce each part of the practice that I decide to do. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking, all right, what do I need right now? And so I'll introduce it and maybe do a little teaching and then just demonstrate it. And if this is valuable for others, I'll probably do more teaching and help other people to design their own practices that work. There's a lot of great teachers out there. Everything that I'm going to be doing, I've learned from other people and then cultivated it for me. So the first thing I've been doing recently is a yogic breathing exercise. It's called Kapalabhati. It's a cleansing breath. And basically what it is it's opposite to what we normally do. Normally we breathe in through the nose and out the nose. Sometimes we breathe in through the nose and out of the mouth. You'll see later a Wim Hof style breathing that's new to me that I really love, and it's amazing for waking up the brain and the body and strengthening our minds and getting us out of a nervous reaction and helping our immune system to become more resilient. That's inhale through the mouth and exhale through the mouth like this. So, but Kapalabhati is different. This is my belly, and basically I'm going to be pushing the air out. It's cleansing the breath. And so that's how I'm going to start. And I'll do a few minutes, and you'll see after I'm finished with exhaling and pushing the air out, I'm going to keep the air out. And then what I'm doing internally is internal locks and internal contraction of my energy center, starting from root chakra and going all the way up through my body, down here, into my heart, my throat, my head, and then even out into the universe. And so it's bringing all this stuck energy from down low, up into the brain. It's hyper-oxygenating me, it's getting my circulation going, and it's probably releasing hormones, cannabinoids potentially. The pineal gland is probably going to be releasing, because it's light out, serotonin. It releases melatonin when it's dark out. If we're doing this bandha, this internal contraction work, well, it's basically elevating energy and liquids from down below and bringing it up through our spine into our brains, and then I think about it as fertilizing and liquefying and waking our brains up and waking our bodies up. So here we go. Kapalabhati, and then some bandhas, and then we'll figure out where we go next. one round. Second round. This is where my whole body is feeling tingly and oxygenated, and my heart is pumping. And this is where my mind, which is sort of like the operating system, I think, for the body. It's all connected, obviously. It's all our body. It's all the sacred vessel. It's the vessel for the spark of life in Hebrew, which I like to use in my practices. It's Hatzotzot Hashem, or sparks of the divine. That's in the yogic tradition, it's called the force of life, or the life force. Sparks. Hashem of the divine. I'm going to do one more Kabbalah Bhati. Yeah, so in my humble opinion, and this is just from many years of naturally breathing and then probably almost 30 years of intentional breathing practice where I'm intending to build the breathing discipline to hyperoxygenate my body and my mind and all of me, as well as to create a circulatory system that's healthy and vibrant and fertilizing everything and just getting everything moving. The breath is our friend. At some point, if I continue teaching like this, I'll tell stories about how I learned about the breath and how I have learned to use the breath, both to overcome obstacles, to initiate and sustain change, to get my mind out of the primordial brain, which is back here, which is where the stress reaction is, where our fight-flight response is. That's a very healthy, important part of ourselves. But when we're in stress reactions, we can get stuck there, and it's important to release the energy out of this part of the brain and to release our whole nervous system from a stress reaction, which prevents healing and prevents health. It also protects us from danger, but it's important not to get in a stress reaction that toxifies our body with cortisol, which is a stress hormone. It's a very important hormone. It's not bad, but when it's triggered, when the amygdala and the part of the brain gets triggered, the fight-flight response gets triggered, it triggers a reaction that releases cortisol. That can flood the body if we're in a stress reaction too often. And that part of the brain can also release adrenaline, which is amazing. It allows us to have superhuman, strength and capacity, but it also, it can lead us to be driving too hard and to, toxify the body too. So, that was Kapalabhati. What I'm going to be doing now, which is relatively new, a friend of mine introduced me to, I'd heard about Wim Hof, I'd never really studied him or practiced his breathing or cold therapy or mindset training until, about 2 or 3 months ago. And I was introduced to Wim Hof through YouTube videos and started watching him and started doing some of his practices, and I love it. So what you're about to see is, it's a very intense breathing. And when I first started doing it, it was sort of scary. It's, you'll see, it's simple and profound, and it really is about hyper-oxygenating the whole system. And I think it really engages the primordial brain and releases any blocks, gets our heart and our lungs and our circulatory system. And I think that how I'm doing it, it's starting to release the natural cannabinoids, which are in the primordial ancient brain, and also the pineal gland, which is deep in the brain. And it releases serotonin when it's light out, which it is now, or melatonin, which I said before, when it's dark out. And for me, it just puts my mind on fire in a good way. When I do this practice, if I'm depressed, if I wake up and I'm stressed, if I'm thinking about things, or even if I really have to get clear to be a parent or a professional or a caregiver, or if I need to invigorate my immune system, I'm going to be doing this. So this is a very powerful practice. If you're curious about this practice, I would say go study Wim Hof. I'll tell you who my teachers are and where you can find them and where I learned this stuff. My Yeah. So anyway, so I'm going to do a few rounds of this very deep, intense breathing. And, you'll see, pretty much how happy I get and how alive I feel. And when I do this practice in the morning, typically it's around 5 a.m., not 8 or 9 or whatever it is now. And no matter how much sleep I've had, though I try to get a good amount of sleep, I am wide awake and ready to go. So, here we go. The basic idea, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be counting to myself probably about 30. That's one. At the end of 30, I'm going to exhale and then hold. Part of the Wim Hof, he's a high performance athlete, a freak in nature, an amazing guy who I've recently met online, I don't know. He's a world record holder in swimming under ice, in freezing water. He uses cold therapy. He basically is a master of using the mind to control the body, and no matter the external stress conditions, to create an internal environment where if it's cold outside, we can be warm inside. If there's craziness in viral spread outside, we create a resilient inner world that then equips us with a strong and healthy mind and body. So here it is, but after you see me doing this, I'm going to be holding the breath until I need breath, and then I'll exhale it out, hold without any breath, then inhale in, and again do bundle work and bring all the energy up, and I'll do a few rounds of this, and then we'll see how I feel. Usually after that, I do one of my martial arts warm-up practices. I don't know what I'll feel like doing or what I'll need after this series, but this is an intense practice, and it's amazing. So here we go. Thank you, Wim. Even though we've never met, I really appreciate you and your teaching and what I've learned over the last few months. I hear my son stirring outside. This is what I normally try at 5 a.m. I try to keep quiet. It is loud. I try to keep it quiet. One time I did wake him up with my Wim Hof breathing. Yeah, one thing I didn't do this morning, which I'll do right now, and I usually do it, but I forget stuff, especially when I'm talking and not fully focused on my practice. I do set an intention, a quiet intention. How's the fire? A quiet intention for the day, or for the week, or for the month, or for the year. And how I do it is I just tap the heart. One of the practices that I learned from another teacher is called Healing Buddha. It's a Chinese martial arts and acupuncture type practice. It was part of the oral tradition that I learned from another teacher. Anyway, I'm going to just quietly set my personal intention. Yes. Another personal discipline that I like is my coffee in the morning. I love it. I'm a purist. Just about doing things that are good for me, and I know are good for me. And coffee, especially coffee that's grown well with dignity and respect for the land and the people that are growing and cultivating the coffee. And then, so yeah, I love hot coffee, so hold on. Yeah, I'm sure that true traditionalists in some, I don't know, mystic tradition, or I'm sure some people wouldn't approve, but I don't really care. I'm not here to, to satisfy other people's ideas about what I should be doing. What I'm here to do is to take care of myself so that I can take care of my kid and my parents and my friends and the planet. There's my boy, who's the video producer. So, okay, I'm about to start by the way, Hunk is outside. He's probably down there.
Cool.
And,
Why aren't you looking at yourself?
yeah, I don't need to. Hey. Are you gonna get yourself breakfast? Let's see if he tells me how annoying I am with this breathing, because it is loud.